On this episode, I get to speak with the lovely Amanda Devincenzo. She has been a paralegal coach for over 6 years now. We converse on what a paralegal coach is, why you should hire one, and what are the benefits of being one. Listen in for more. Need an extra set of hands for a case that requires a little more investigation work? Check out our proud sponsor of Season 3, Affirm Investigative Solutions, where you get the tailored and personal care for your case when you need it most. With over 10 years of experience, Affirm Investigative Solutions makes the process easy. Set up a call, develop a plan, and then execute that plan. Affirm Investigative Solutions, the litigation partner that has your back.
Hello, this is your girl, Ada, and welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Today I have the lovely Amanda. She will be talking about one of my favorite topics in the whole wide world, mostly because I know so much about it and I love doing it, paralegal coaching, why it's important, why you should have it, and what is it? Because some people don't actually know what paralegal coaching is. So welcome, Amanda. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you. We actually have known each other for quite some time now, probably over a year, actually. Yeah, and we've been talking personal, professional, everything, right?
Yeah, I love it.
I know. She's, if you guys don't know, she's an amazing supporter of the Let's Talk Paralegal brand and the Etta Rosa LLC. She shares, comments, does all the things for me, and is always there for us whenever we need her. So more than an interview, obviously, there's a deeper relationship behind the conversation. So I'm really excited for you to share some tips and some do's and don'ts when it comes to paralegal coaching. But I guess we should start with, what is paralegal coaching, right?
Right. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to be a part of this. So paralegal coaching is kind of an interesting little niche because you see it all over the place, right? You see it in fitness, you see it everywhere in business. But when I first started my business, there wasn't anyone to kind of help me out. And I had tons of questions and there wasn't anybody to talk to. And so the more you start going, the more you start your business and, creating a business plan. What is that? What is, setting your fees? What are the right fees? So paralegal coaching is kind of interesting because we're different than every other industry. We don't set our fees the same way. We work with attorneys exclusively in most states, right? So we have a different way that we have to advertise and market ourselves and share our business and start our business. And so I think that it's important to have somebody who knows the industry. I've had business coaches that are outside the industry, but I've also had business coaches that are inside the industry. So I think that it's important to kind of maybe give yourself a mix. But I think it's mostly important when you're really looking for somebody who can guide you in the right direction on your paralegal business. And even if you don't want a business and you just want to kind of freelance on the side, that can be helpful too. But someone who knows what they're talking about, someone who knows what it is to work with an attorney, what it is to work at a law firm. If you don't know those things, you're probably not going to fully understand the entire universe that is the legal field.
Absolutely. I think the legal industry is just a whole different monster because it touches every other industry in general, right? So there's so many intricacies, there's so much diversity as well. I was actually having a conversation with a fellow colleague of mine about that, about how it's just so emerged as well. The industry is just really growing, and it really is whatever you want it to be. Like everybody, there's no longer a straight answer as to what a paralegal is, what their tasks are, what they should be doing, other than even blurring the lines as to legal advice, because now in other states, depending on what state you're located, you have limited licensing. So now you are able to provide within limitations and after certifications and education and all the good stuff, you are able to provide limited advice. So I mean, the lines are getting so blurred, right? And it's harder for the clients also to understand what a paralegal is, where we stand, right? So having that person that's been there, done that, made all the mistakes already, because I'm
Right.
one of them. I made so many mistakes, especially with the fees. The first mistake we ever do is we charge at cost, right? What it would actually cost if we were to work 9 to 5, and we don't put into consideration everything else, our software, our technology that we utilize, our equipment that we utilize, basically our expenses, right? Our overhead. We're no longer that 9 to 5 mentality. We are business owners and we have costs and expenses. And it's not just our time, it's our investment that we've already invested in our company as well. Most of us have licensing through LexisNexis or Westlaw or some type of legal research software out there as well, if you're doing like heavy briefs and legal research, and depending on what type of freelancing or work you're doing. So that brings me to the next question. How do you choose a paralegal coach, right? Because there's a diversity, right? And like I just explained, there's so much that goes into it. Like, how do you know it would be a good fit? What are a few tips that maybe you can advise the audience in choosing a coach?
I think it's really important to hop on a call with someone. I know that not everyone has the time or even wants to sometimes just hop on a call, because sometimes it's like, oh, now you're just going to sell me. But at the same time, if you don't talk with somebody one-on-one, you're not going to know if you mesh well, right? So I've had conversations with people I thought would be excellent coaches, and I'm like, no, that's not the person. That's not my person, right? So I think it's important to get on a call with someone, ask them questions, ask them about their experience. You can, like, I personally like when people ask me about myself and my life, because I like to get to know my clients as well. I'm not just informing them on business. Sometimes, actually, for the most part, I think it's more mindset and it's more life that I'm informing them about. So how do they manage with daily life? How do they manage their time? How do they manage with a family? Or, a lot of my clients are in similar boat as me, where they like to travel. So how do you travel and do all these things? And, so I feel like asking them questions about their interests is a big piece. And then what kind of, like, I don't know that areas of law is necessarily super important. And the reason I say that is because every single client that I have had has at some point pretty early on in their business not done paralegal work anymore. They have to hire other people to start helping because their business starts booming. Once your mindset goes up, you're elevated, you're like, yeah, this is great. So they can't do paralegal work anymore. So they start being a business owner and running the business and being a CEO and a boss, and they're doing all those things. So I think that it's a different animal when you're in that business and when you're in the part of being a boss. And so I don't know that it's incredibly important to say, oh yeah, well, we were both in personal injury, or we were both doing contracts our entire career, or criminal. Like, I guess that could be helpful, but I would say that the biggest piece is talking with someone like we're doing now. Like, do our personalities match? Do I feel like you're motivating and empowering? That's a big one for me. Again, I've had conversations with people that I kind of felt that, I always say it's kind of like the show The Biggest Loser. You have the Jillian Michaels who like ride you really hard, where I'm a person more like Bob, whatever his name was, that is kind of, I'm more motivating. I will kind of hold your hand and I will make you feel good about yourself. I don't want to tell you what you're doing is bad and wrong, just to get you to do something. I want to work hand in hand with you. I don't want to push you. So I think that depends too. Some people are all about pushing real hard, but I feel like not everyone needs to be pushed. Not everyone needs their hand held. So I think it just depends on what you're looking for personally.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. I think that goes with anything in life, right? So our colleagues who we decide to like collaborate, network with, once you're in that mind frame, setting up events and things like that. Obviously, that's where my mindset is right now. But understanding that, and like I was talking about earlier today, was understanding that conversations create connection, right? So depending on how that conversation goes is how your connection is going to go. Depending on your goals, I think, you brought up a good point. What is it that you want? What are you looking for? What is it that you need? What in order to get to that next, step? What is that step? Is that step part of a bigger thing, or are you just wanting to get there and that's your final destination? So really depending your wants, your needs, what you're looking for before you even get on a call, because sometimes we have what I call the round the table conversations, right? So it's basically a table and there's like multiple people obviously around this table. It's a round table. Picture this for the people that are listening. And all of a sudden, everybody goes around the table, says their thing. You're bound to connect with at least 2 to 3 people in that table. Some of them you're not going to like, some of them you're going to be like, I can pass on that person. Or, oh, wow, that was so motivating. Oh my God, that was great. That really hit home, whatever the conversation would be. But that's just to give you guys an example that really you can be a peach, but not everybody likes peaches, right? You're not for everyone, and that's why there's so much room for different types of paralegal coaching, paralegal styles, right? There's a lot of different styles. Some do prefer in person only, virtual, some are hands-on where they're more like a teacher where they provide you with materials and handouts. So really depending again on thinking about what you want, what you're looking for, what your next destination is, whether it's to either grow your career, pivot your career, do freelance, stay in 9 to 5, but get that managerial position, whatever it is that you're looking for in your legal career, that's what you need to look for in a coach, right? Somebody that can actually get you to that point. And I think you make a great point about conversation, because I think that's the easiest way, because everybody can have the certification, have the experience, have this, but if you're not able to communicate with that person, if you're not able to understand with that person or be empathetic or whatever the case may be, however type of person you are, if you're not able to connect truly, it's not going to be beneficial for either party,
Right.
and you're probably going to be throwing your money away.
And if you get off the call and you don't feel that you've gotten something out of it, that's the piece for me. Is I like the aha moments. Those are kind of the cream of the crop, right? That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that clients get off the call and feel good about themselves. Sometimes you're hearing hard stuff. You're hearing stuff that you don't necessarily want to, that your friends aren't telling you, your husband or wife isn't telling you. No one's really saying these things, right? Because they want to be nice. So they're like, I don't really want to say that. But your coach will tell you things that you need to hear to get you to the place that you need to be. And I think that getting off that call, that's such an important piece in my mind, is when you get off that call and you feel good about yourself and you're like, okay, I can do this, and that's a big piece, because that holds, like that'll stay with you. And I've heard that from my clients, and I know I felt that from my own coaches too.
Absolutely.
And I think you brought up a good point too, with where you want to go. So in your business or in your career, what the piece is. So I know coaches that will coach and they want, big agencies, and they want lots of clients and lots of subcontractors. Where for me, I want a pretty small business. I don't want too many clients. I like to work 10 to 15 hours a week. I like to travel a lot. I like a lot of time off to myself, so there's a real big difference in what you're going to get from people. And some people are super all about the hustle. And for me, I don't want to hustle. I don't, I'm old enough in my career that I don't want to hustle anymore. So I think that's a good point to ask, when you're on that call with someone, that first discovery or strategy call, whether they want the same things that you do.
Absolutely. And, I'm always about working smarter, not harder. I'm always about, building a dream team, knowing when to add someone to your team or eliminate someone. So really depending on your colleagues, on your employees. I mean, it's so important to understand the importance of that connection, because it's going to translate throughout your career, throughout your business, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Really understanding what works for you, because you're the one that's going to make the business successful. No amount of marketing is going to help you.
That's true.
It's not. I mean, you can pay for all the marketing in the world, but if you can't handle the business coming in, or, attend to the customers the way you're supposed to, it's all about building yourself, right? Being an entrepreneur is about building yourself within and then building the business. So understanding, your strengths, and understanding the weaknesses or the pinpoints and where you need to actually work on, is really what's going to help your business, but not only your business, yourself, right?
Right.
That's really what coaching is all about.
I tell my clients that I could give you all the strategy in the world, but if your mind isn't in the right place, you're not going to do what you want to do. So you have to put yourself in that right place, and that, like, I don't know, that happy, empowered, supported place, because otherwise it's just never going to work.
No, and there's so many times, trust me, guys, there's so many times where you're going to feel like you want to quit, where you feel like you're not good enough, where you feel like this isn't for me. And it's all that negative talk. It's all that, I don't know. I think as a society, we need more happy thoughts now. Everything that's going around in society as general. But I think sometimes coaching can also help you with that, right? Empowerment, that uplift, like, oh, I just had a bad day or something, and I don't, and I just lost a client, or whatever the case may be, business wise. I think coaching also helps with that too. Like, I know that I have a lot of colleagues that I go to when I have a bad business day, not personal. I have my therapist for that. Shout out. But yeah, I think overall a good mix. And I like that you brought up a good mix, right? Where you have your business, but you also have one that's geared to your actual industry, because like we said in the beginning of the conversation, the legal industry is very specific. There's very specific things that happen in the legal industry that may or may not happen in other industries.
Right.
So having that nice, happy balance also will help you as well. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, everyone could use a coach / mentor. I think they're important in so many ways. So I constantly have one or two that I utilize and talk to. And I do also have, what people call biz besties, right? So those people, and one of them is a previous coaching client of mine that I still work with. She's amazing. She has built her company to 6-figure years. And, that's something that I look at, and even I admire, because I kind of think like, well, it's nice that I had a hand in that. But at the same time, like, you see that joy of the work, and you see all of it kind of come down the pipeline. So it's good to be on this end as a coach. But I think as a client, it's really important to recognize when you need help, and it's okay to ask for help. I think it's kind of a funny thing in society that as women, we're supposed to smile and not always ask for help, right? So it's okay to ask for help. And I think one of the biggest things is knowing that it's okay to go after your dreams. We don't have to be stuck. The reason I started my own business was I was starting to burn out. After 15 years, I was just burnt out. I was having like a midlife nervous breakdown, and I couldn't do it anymore. And so the day I decided I was going to start my own business was the day I was like, I can't go back in an office anymore. I just can't. And so it's okay to recognize that about yourself, and it's okay to strive for other things. So the legal business is changing, especially with the pandemic. It made it much easier for people to realize that I don't have to sit at a desk in an office in a law firm the same way that you used to be able to, or used to have to. So I think that recognizing that is important. Getting out there and knowing what you want. You don't have to know exactly what you want, but just know that you don't want certain things. I think knowing what you don't want is actually more important sometimes than what you do want. And strive big, dream big. I think that's an important one.
Yeah, and don't underestimate yourself, right? I think overall that's what you were alluding to. we tend to put our own obstacles, right? We tend to put excuses. Well, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, it's going to cost too much, it's going to take too long. Whatever excuse you guys are putting out there for yourself, you're putting it out there, right? Because if when you think about your life, you have things today that you didn't have yesterday and that you wanted, right? So for example, cars, right? For some reason, everybody has like that dream car, that dream home, area to where they want to live, children, marriage. It could be anything at this point. It could be either an actual physical item or something, more emotional, more, whatever it is. But understanding that you have things that you wanted before in your life, then that's kind of the concept of life, right? So we don't think about that. We don't think about the fact that, oh, we got, married, or we had the kids, we have the car, we had the house, we have the dream job, whatever it is. And then we didn't have that before, but it was something that we wanted.
Yeah.
So understanding that simple concept is important too.
I think too, it's funny that you said that, because I was talking with my younger brother probably about 6 months ago, and we were talking about business and, I'm having a baby and how life is changing. And he said, so what is it that you want now in life? Because you're already living your dreams. And it took me a second to kind of realize that he was absolutely correct. I get to travel for months at a time to Florida during the winters to get away from the Oregon snow. I get to travel all around the world. I get to do the things that I want to do. And so I never really put myself in the position of realizing that my dreams were my reality. And so now I needed new dreams. And so I've come up with some new dreams, but it's just really interesting that sometimes we do have what we've been asking for, and we just don't realize it because we're constantly looking ahead. And there's nothing wrong with looking ahead, but sometimes we just need to sit and be okay with where we are and who we are and what we've achieved, and recognize that.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the saying? I know I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines like, that's why the present is called the present, because it's a gift.
Yes.
Because we don't focus on that. We don't focus on what we do have, right? And we're not that we're ungrateful, guys. I'm not saying that. Not that. It's just that we're, like Amanda just said, we're just so focused on what's next, what's ahead, especially as if you're a type A personality, a perfectionist. An entrepreneur kind of forms those types of traits anyway, right? You want everything to go right. You want control of everything. And that's why you're hesitant about hiring an assistant or hiring someone to help you with whatever task it is that you're looking for. Understanding that it's time, right? And understanding that it's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to have whatever you want. And that's amazing, Amanda. I know, I'm so excited. You better send me pictures.
I will.
I love little girls and boys. I have both. I have a boy and a girl. So, but yeah, so that's amazing. But this was an amazing conversation. I definitely don't want to take up more of your time, especially after you told me that you may have her in a couple more weeks. I am freaking out right now.
She's doing much better than the beginning of the call.
Oh, I know.
Calm down.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Amanda, for being on the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, being such an amazing supporter to the brand itself and to myself. And
Pleasure.
I know this is not going to be the last conversation we have, maybe online, but not after. So thank you so much. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. You too.